We have made it to the trade deadline here in year number 4 of the Golden State Warriors MyNBA franchise here on NBA 2K25. And it's certainly an interesting one for us given the multitude of directions we could look to take our team. As it stands now, we are currently 30-19. That has us in 5th place in a very competitive Western Conference where it's just a mishmash of teams at the top. You've got the top 8 teams within 7 games of each other. We're only 3.5 games back of the 1 seed, but we're also only 3 games back of the 8 seed. So that means there's not a lot of margin for error the rest of the way in the regular season if we want to guarantee a high seed. It feels like parity, for better or worse, is at an all-time high in the NBA, especially in the West. The East, not quite as much so, which is kind of odd considering through the first few years of the series, the East was super tight, and the West, I feel like, was not quite as close. And this year, it's been the complete opposite. Of course, we've tried to figure out who our number 1 option has been, and over the last couple of months, it's been Antoine Saliz. He started the year off slow, but he's played better and better as the year has gone along, averaged 22 points on ridiculously good efficiency through the month of January. Our entire team has been efficient. We're number 1 in the NBA in terms of field goal percentage, but not everybody is shooting the rock well. Kachai Stokes had a really rough January, 35% from the field, 17% from deep. That is not good. He did have a 26-point game against the Sixers, but otherwise, 0 for 10 against the Pacers. He shot the ball just horrifically, and we're going to need him to pick it up. It's been especially not encouraging because Roman Loggins-Burrell has been injured, and we would have needed Stokes to step up. Roman was first before his injury in terms of estimated wins added, but he's been passed up by Antoine Saliz. And Jabari Springer, going into the year, I certainly would not have expected him to be our second most valuable player, but here we are. He has taken a bigger opportunity and run with it, and now is one of the clear starters in the front court, and I don't think he's going to lose his starting spot. In the last episode, we had a prospect profile as well, and as you can see here, it is a loaded draft class. Now, some of these ratings are subject to change based on how certain players perform through their college seasons, but we're looking at 5 players who are going to be at least an 80 overall. Normally it's 1 or 2. This year there might be 5. I was hoping this Bulls pick would be really good, but obviously, as we know, the Bulls have been one of the more impressive teams in the Eastern Conference, and that's not going to end up being a high pick. So there's 3 different directions that we can choose to take this year's deadline. The first of which, and maybe the least exciting, would be to stand pat and do nothing. We've got a pretty good young core. Saliz is 22, Stokes is 20, Loggins-Burrell is 20, Springer is 21. We've got a pretty good thing going with this group, and maybe it's not the worst idea to not break something that isn't already broken. However, I think the way the team is constructed, they're good enough to contend in the Western Conference, at least for a high seed, but I don't know if they're built to go on a deep playoff run, and I think this year's deadline could be the time to make a big move. So the second option would be that we go out and make a splash. We add an established veteran to this roster to up our chances of going far in the playoffs this year and hopefully beyond. We would want to get someone who fits really well with our young core, or whatever is left of it, after making this trade. And there are a few different teams who we looked at in the last episode who could be matches for us, particularly teams towards the bottom of the standings who could look to make a big move. One of the teams we really highlighted in the last episode was the Heat. We played against them and lost, but I wanted to watch Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero because I thought both of them could make sense for us. Well, both of them just got extended. So it looks like both Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero are off the table. The Knicks have been one of the most disappointing teams in the league. They had the 3rd worst record in the NBA, and I would imagine close to everyone is available. Mikal Bridges and Jaren Jackson would certainly be for the right price. And I wouldn't rule out a Jalen Brunson trade. I think it's unlikely. He was recently extended a couple years ago, and he has not been bad at all. He is trying to carry the team on his back. But maybe the Knicks choose to hit the hard reset button and start over. The Denver Nuggets have been disappointing again. They did just extend Jokic this past offseason, so I don't think he's available. But maybe one of Jamal Murray or Kawhi Leonard, buying low on one of these veterans, as both of these guys are aging, it looks like. The Milwaukee Bucks were one of the best teams in the East last year. This year, they've been a big disappointment. I don't think Giannis and Jaden Ivey would be available, but maybe Kobe White adds an established veteran playmaker to the offense. Or Paul George, who has not taken another step back and has been really good. It doesn't look like he's planning to retire, and I don't blame him. He's got a lot left in the tank. The Clippers do not have the most talent on their roster, but it seems like they landed a big win by signing Taylor Hendricks in the offseason. He's shooting 44% from deep, and maybe they choose to sell high. They didn't expect him to be this good, and they can get a lot of assets for him. I think the Lakers are going to look to shake things up. They've obviously got a really good young scorer with Shavonte Fitzgerald. So maybe they look to move some pieces around with someone like Darius Garland, Mark Williams, Dalton Knecht, or possibly Anthony Davis, who's lost a lot of juice offensively, but he's still really good on the defensive end of the floor. The Mavericks have been stuck in limbo ever since they lost Luka Doncic. They signed Trae Young to try to stay afloat, and that's what they've done. They've been average. I could see them looking to finally tear it down and potentially starting a rebuild, especially with Kyrie Irving at 35 years old and really starting to regress quite a bit. The Philadelphia 76ers have been better than expected, but I could see them looking to continue this rebuild with their backcourt of Maxey and McCain. Jared McCain is on the last year of his deal. He's going to ask for a lot of money in free agency, being a career 42% three-point shooter. I could see the Sixers being hesitant to pay that, and then Tyrese Maxey is averaging the lowest amount of points per game since his rookie year. 27 years old, this is supposed to be his prime, but he has had a really down year. I would look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. They made the finals a couple years ago, but they just have not been all that good since. I doubt Evan Mobley would be available, but maybe Donovan Mitchell, who has 2.5 more years left on his contract. It would probably cost a lot, but I think it could be possible. The Blazers have been one of the most disappointing teams in the NBA this year. Now, they've still got a good young nucleus with Donovan Clingan, Bardo Campolo, and Silan Novikov, but maybe they look to pull the plug early on the LaMelo Ball experiment. They made the big deal around draft day last year, and it just hasn't really worked out. LaMelo individually has been fine, but it hasn't really made the team better. He has 2 years left on his deal, and when I was originally looking at trade deadline targets, I thought Ball could make a lot of sense for us, but that would be with him having an expiring contract. For whatever reason, I thought he only had 1 year left, and maybe it would make more sense for Portland to trade off of him, cut their losses, and move on. But since he still has another year on his contract, why would Portland trade him now instead of being patient and seeing if they can work things out? And then we get to the Grizzlies, who are not bad like the other teams we have shown. They're in the 6th slot in the Western Conference right now. I still feel like Mikko Kaponen should be their long-term number 1. He started the year off slowly, but since December, he's been probably one of the 5 or 6 best players in the Western Conference. And a Ja Morant trade could happen. He's on the last year of his deal. He's been fantastic this year. He's having one of the best seasons of his career, which would be the easy rationale for the Grizzlies to keep him. But if not, it makes sense. Smaller, athletic guards like him generally do not age well into their 30s. Look at guys like Derrick Rose, John Wall, to a slightly lesser extent, Russell Westbrook. Those players did not age gracefully, and Ja Morant has a similar play style. The Grizzlies are a very smart organization who I don't think would pay him just to pay him. And if they did trade him, they have a long-term replacement already on the roster with Kobe Starling Jr. So even though the Grizzlies are a good team, I wouldn't say they're a tier 1 contender, and they could get a lot back for Ja Morant, who's having a phenomenal year for a team who's looking to take a big swing for a title. The other option would be that we go all in on the youth movement. We would sell off some veteran pieces, look to add some young players or draft picks. It seems like a lot of you guys in the comments of the last episode supported this idea. And in theory, it's a good idea. Adding one of these top prospects would really help us out. The problem is, I don't think many of these teams would be willing to trade away their first-round picks for veterans, since most of them are bad. The only ones who could make sense would be Atlanta with their Pelicans pick, and the Nets with their Knicks pick. The problem is the Nets can't trade it to begin with. So that brings us here to Atlanta. They had the Pelicans pick unprotected this year. Jabari Springer and the Clippers Sixers pick, probably not. Salise, probably not. Kuminga, I don't think so. Kajai Stokes would be kind of interesting given his struggles. And then we get to Brandon Ingram, which it seems like a lot of you guys thought trading Brandon Ingram for a high draft pick would be a good deal. And if we were to go all in on this youth movement, it probably would be a good deal for us. And for a team like Atlanta, who's in the middle of the Eastern Conference, trying to add a veteran, it probably wouldn't be the worst idea to stop hoarding draft picks and start adding some veterans for this young group. Seems like they've landed a big hit with Shaedon Barnabas. Zachariah Rice and J.D. Little are really developing well. These guys have so much young talent. Since we started this series, they've had like 6, 7, maybe 8 different lottery picks, and that doesn't even include the former number 1 overall selection, Zachary Rizache. The Pelicans obviously are not a very good team. This pick would be projected around 6, 7 in the first round, and if it were to jump up higher, we could land one of these blue chip prospects in the first round who could potentially change the future of our organization. But as I look at Atlanta, does it really make sense for them to trade a potential top 5 pick for Brandon Ingram? He would definitely help out their team, but they have a lot of talent on the wing. Barnabas, Rizache, Rice, Nitro Rodriguez, Naheem Martin, all lottery picks over the last few years. That's 5 guys who they're trying to give playing time to, and many of whom have pretty similar skill sets to that of Ingram. So it wouldn't be the worst idea for them to maybe trade one of these guys away. And last year I mentioned Rizache as a potential trade deadline target for us. He's on the last year of his deal, and I'm not so sure they're looking to give him an extension. But as we look at the trade value, it's obviously pretty lopsided here. Atlanta's not going to look to do that. And as I looked at their roster, I figured, how much does Brandon Ingram really help them? They're currently in 8th place in the Eastern Conference. So, again, it wouldn't be the worst idea to add a veteran, but he doesn't really give them anything new. They have so much talent on the wing already. They're a very deep roster, and he doesn't really make them better. He would just take playing time away from someone like Princely Kenson, the talented rookie out of Duke, who's having a pretty good rookie season, and it's not like Ingram is leaps and bounds better. If the Hawks were to go out and make a move for a veteran, I feel like it would have to be for a real needle mover. I thought about the idea of maybe adding a guy like Adembona in here, but again, I don't really think it makes that much sense. Ingram would just replace someone like Zachariah Rice or Zachary Rizache in the starting lineup, and it's not like he's that much better. Adembona would be the backup, probably, behind Miles Turner. He'd be the 9th man off the bench. So I did some more searching to figure if maybe there's another team who could work here. The Bucks and the Blazers own each other's picks, and I think both of them could make sense as a potential desperation move, but neither of them can even trade their picks away to begin with. So then I found the Miami Heat, who are towards the middle of the Eastern Conference. They just extended Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. They're trying to win with this group, and they can trade their 2028 first-round pick. And as I put the pick into the trade finder, it's very similar to the Atlanta offers, which kind of surprised me because the Pelicans are a lot worse than Miami, so it seems like the Heat would be trying to get a really good deal here. The Heat are currently in 12th in the East, but they're only a game back of a play-in spot, and adding an established veteran could be what pushes them over the edge. I think a guy like Brandon Ingram could potentially make a lot of sense here because they need more talent on the wing. Tyler Hero is more of the combo guard, and as we look at who they have at the 3, Paco Medadie and Kaimani Moon both played really well against us in the last episode, but neither of them are stopping you from getting Brandon Ingram. Now, as we look at this trade, just a 1-for-1 swap, this wouldn't be very good value for us, would it? The 12th projected pick for Brandon Ingram? Why would we do that? But I do think we could make something work here because it would make a lot of sense for the Heat. My question, though, is would it make a lot of sense for us? Brandon Ingram's having a really good year, a career high in three-point percentage. I was hoping he'd be a little more assertive as a scorer with Curry and Butler gone, but he's still been quite solid this year. Nonetheless, if we did want to go all in on this youth movement, I mean, he is 30. He's not getting any younger. I don't know how willing the Heat would be willing to part with their 2028 pick. They could trade their 2029 pick as well. I think that pick would still have some value. Maybe a guy like Khalil Ware can be the second piece for us. He's on an expiring deal, but he's gotten better and better each season with Miami. So that could be an option, but as I really thought about it, I feel like that would just be making a move for the sake of making a move. I don't know if it really helps us. And this is where I got stuck, because we could always look to add a veteran piece. The problem is I don't want to add one of these grandpas. I don't see a reason to add a 35-year-old to this roster. So then I decided to really explore the idea of trading for Ja Morant. There's nothing in the trade finder. It's obviously not going to be easy. Ja's one of the 15 best players in the NBA right now. Brandon Ingram would probably be the salary matching piece. We'd have to give up some picks, particularly the Clippers-Sixers swap pick, which is the most valuable draft pick that we currently own. This would probably be the start of a Ja Morant package, and I think it would probably look something like this. Adembona and Kajai Stokes would be added along with a future first. It seems like teams really like Kajai Stokes. He's 3.5 stars, which is higher than Kobe Starling Jr., even though Starling has been better throughout his career. So it seems like teams really believe in the two-way skill set that Stokes brings to the table. And obviously, I would be hesitant to trade him. I like the talent, even though he's been up and down since we drafted him. My thing with this trade would be, for the same reasons that Memphis would be hesitant to sign him, I would be hesitant as well. He's a short, 28-year-old guard who relies on athleticism. Is he still going to be really good in 4 or 5 years down the road? I don't know. The Grizzlies wouldn't even do this trade anyway, and I would not be willing to give up anything more. So we're going to have to go away from the Ja Morant idea. It looks like it's not going to happen. So then I really got to thinking, and I looked at some of the teams who we talked about earlier. Maybe there's a player I overlooked who could be available. I come across Cleveland. I said Evan Mobley probably wouldn't be available, but as I look at his numbers, maybe he would be. Mobley has not been the same guy that Cleveland would have hoped for early in his career. He's obviously a terrific defensive player, one of the best defenders in basketball, but offensively, he's really never developed since his rookie year. And as I put him in the trade finder, it doesn't look like he really would cost all that much. I think we'd be able to get him for a pretty fair deal. Look at this trade. Brandon Ingram, Osborne Outeridge, and a 2030 first rounder for Mobley and Jordan Walsh. This is a very fair offer for us, and if it's something that we want to explore, we can really make this happen. So let's hold that thought. We'll get back to that in a second. I wanted to go through the player finder for good playmakers, given that that's our biggest weakness. Jalen Brunson's probably not on the table. Maybe the Cavs will be willing to deal Donovan Mitchell as well. Oop, I guess not. They didn't even hesitate there. If we want to swing lower, maybe a guy like Kobe White could be in play, an established veteran offense-heavy guard. Seems like it would be a pretty fair deal to get him. Adembona and possibly some other stuff would be enough to get it done. The trade offers later there ended up being worse for whatever reason. What about Jared McCain, who's on the last year of his contract with the 76ers? It would probably cost quite a bit more than that of Kobe White, but maybe for the right price, it's doable. None of this really excited me, though, so we're going to go back to Evan Mobley in Cleveland. Now, the Cavs would be losing a huge defensive piece. First team all-defense in 4 of the last 5 years. Not in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, but I can't imagine he's too farther down. He's a phenomenal rim protector. He can switch onto the perimeter. But he's been really bad offensively, and it has shown for the team as a whole. They are the second lowest scoring team in the NBA right now, only behind the Huskies, who barely count as a real NBA team to begin with. Now, their defense is strong. They're in the top 10 there. But the offense sucks, and Mobley's a big part of that. Now, yes, they are only 2 years removed from an appearance in the NBA Finals, but I feel like they made it to the Finals not because they were good, but because of circumstance. Look at the other teams they had to play in the East. 6, 7, and 8 seed made it out of the first round. The Cavs only won 42 games, and they only made the Finals because the Eastern Conference was absolutely horrific. People throw around the F word, fraud, too loosely when it comes to playoff runs, but this was a clearly fraudulent playoff run. The Cavs were not an NBA Finals caliber team, and it's not like they went on a hard playoff run with Evan Mobley on their roster. Now, losing him, they don't have much left in the front court. They would need to add a big, and a guy like Adembona would probably have to be included with Brandon Ingram, who's here to match the salaries and give the Cavs the offensive piece that they'd be looking for. In terms of Bona, he's been almost just as valuable as Evan Mobley has. 3.2 estimated wins added this year compared to 3.5 for that of Mobley. So if we were to give up both of these pieces, I would probably want a decent wing to replace Brandon Ingram. There's no one on the Cavs who fits that, but I think Jacoby Walter in Toronto would. Solid playmaker, averages over 4 assists per game per 36 minutes. Really solid three-point shooter, 39% on his career. He's having a down season shooting-wise this year and is expiring, and because of that, I don't think it'd be that hard to get him. I think Toronto would prefer a guy like Sage Escamas from Cleveland. They need a point guard really badly. Neither team would say yes to this, but I think we could be onto something. So I added some reinforcements to this trade. We'd be giving Cleveland 2 additional first-round picks. We'd be giving Toronto Keone Kaleo and a second, and then Jalen Noel would be shipped from the Raptors to Cleveland. I think this is a really fair deal. Cleveland is getting the offensive piece they're looking for. They're getting a good rim protector as a replacement, along with 2 number 1s. And Toronto swaps evenly rated players, but they're getting someone younger who's under contract longer and fits a bigger position of need. And then obviously for our team, I think this would be a home run. Both teams would say no to this. So I wanted to do some experimenting to see how far away we are with getting Toronto to agree to this. So I switched one of the draft picks that we'd be giving them from Cleveland to them. And believe it or not, both teams said yes. Does Cleveland have CTE? Draft picks are supposed to be good. We took away the pick from them and they said yes. That would not be realistic, so I decided to alter it a little bit. Cleveland is still getting the 2 1s, but to make up for their stupidity, we would send Toronto 3 second-rounders from the Cavs, and both teams ended up saying yes to that for whatever reason. So, with all that out of the way, we've got ourselves a deal. This is happening. Brandon Ingram and Adem Bona are headed to Cleveland. Keone Kaleo is headed to Toronto. The Bulls pick and our 2031 first-rounder is headed to Cleveland, while we add Evan Mobley and Jacoby Walter. I think this is a win-win-win for all parties. Toronto adds a player at a position they really need who's only 21 years old and fits a lot better with their roster than Walter does. For Cleveland, they add the offensive piece they were missing with Brandon Ingram, and they add a good rim protector with Adem Bona. I'm going to miss both of these guys. I enjoyed having them on the roster, especially the raging Bona penetrating to the lane. But I think we can afford to give up a guy like Adem Bona because of the emergence that Jabari Springer has made this year, and that's not to mention that Bona is on an expiring contract, and with Springer playing so well, I'd be hesitant to give him an extension. I think Evan Mobley and Jacoby Walter fit our roster a lot better than what we had previously. Mobley gives us an elite defender, but the guards on this team can still lead the offense because Evan Mobley doesn't necessarily have to take over as the primary initiator. Now, we're going to need him to play better offensively. I'm going to need higher than 30% from deep. I'm going to need more efficiency from the field. But I think with our group of guards, he can do it. Now, I did notice, for whatever reason, Zach Edey is frustrated. He doesn't want to be here, and I don't really know why. So I decided to explore this with the Lakers. We'd be sending them Edey and Sadiq Bey for Leonard Miller and Austin Reeves. We'd have to throw in Dylan Brooks as salary filler, and I wouldn't do it with just this straight up. I would want a draft pick alongside it. So I think what would be fair would maybe be swapping our picks this year. They're not going to let us do a swap best, swap worst for whatever reason, so we can just pretend that's what we're doing. I figured I would add a third team here to make everything work, so I decided to look at Atlanta. The Lakers would say yes to this. They're in, but Atlanta's not. So I took out one of the second rounders, and I got the same response. I would rather get some additional picks if possible, so I decided to look at the Blazers. For whatever reason, they think Johnny Davis is too valuable of an asset. I don't know why they think that. What about the Clippers? They think Dietrich Praska is too valuable. He's only 1 star, though. What about Jeremy Nella? He's a 69. They think he's too valuable. What? How does that make sense? So I figure we might not be able to get some of these second rounders. It's unfortunate, but I would do it without the seconds. They still say no. It's now just Dylan Brooks for Jeremy Nella, straight up, and the Clippers would still say no. Are these teams stupid? I added second rounders. They still said no. And the Lakers still said yes. So then I figured, why do we even need a third team to begin with? The salary would still work with this trade as is, and now the Lakers say no. This is the exact trade they just agreed to. Why wouldn't they do it? So then I figured maybe we can add Jared Vanderbilt, but it became pretty clear to me early on that they value him more than Dylan Brooks and that this would not work. Even with a guy as lowly rated as 68 overall Jordan Maxwell, it wouldn't work. Jeremy Nella, nope. Although the Lakers would do it now that Dylan Brooks is back. But for whatever reason, they won't do it without the Clippers. So I think 2K is clearly bugging. So we're going to have to cheat a little bit. I turned trade override on. Don't get mad at me. Don't cancel me now. The Lakers agreed to this deal, this exact deal, with a third team in there that wouldn't even really affect them. So I don't know why they wouldn't do it with just the 2 teams. The Lakers now have a logjam in terms of their bigs, but they're going to make more moves. They're not done. I think Zach Edey and Sadiq Bey were both solid. Bey got better as the year went along, and Edey was fun to have a 7'4" guy on the roster, but I actually think these other two players are going to be better fits for us. Leonard Miller is a guy I've been targeting for a while. I really like his game. He can shoot the three ball. He can guard multiple positions. He's having a nice year with the Lakers, but they have a few players who are very similar to Leonard Miller, and he was expendable. As for Austin Reeves, he's had a rough year this year shooting the basketball, but he instantly becomes the best playmaker on our roster, averaging nearly 7 assists per 36 minutes. We also had Dylan Brooks, who's shot the ball even worse than that of Austin Reeves. I don't really see him in our rotation, but it gives us an enforcer. It gives us another glue guy who we can play if needed. So those are going to be our two trades. I really did not expect to flip this team on its side, but I really like this roster with Mobley added to the starting five. I think the front court pairing of him and Springer is going to be a lot of fun, with Jacoby Walter, Leonard Miller, and Austin Reeves added to the bench. And just imagine when Roman Loggins-Burrell is healthy after the All-Star break. I think this group of players fits really well with each other, better than we had previously. And we add a potentially nice first-round pick from the Lakers. They're currently in 10th place in the West, and as I said earlier, I think they have more moves to make. They're probably going to be at the very least a play-in team, but that could be a late lottery pick, currently projected number 16. So it probably won't jump into the top 4, but it gives us an intriguing pick, likely in the middle of the first round of this year's draft. So now that our deadline is done, let's talk about the rest of the NBA. There was a lot of movement. We're going to start small and work our way big. The Rockets are the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and they're looking for one more depth piece off the bench, acquiring Leo Mitchell from the Nuggets. He's played for a few different teams, really good outside shooter. They're going to trade away recent first-round pick Edouard Paquet. I really liked him as a prospect, but he's not really going to provide them anything for a playoff run right now, and the Rockets are pushing to win a title this season. The Nuggets are not very good, so they want to get younger, and they'll add another French guard, joining fellow Frenchman Laramie LeBleu in the backfield. This is a pretty easy deal for both teams, although apparently the Nuggets want to give the Rockets a first-rounder. I don't really think that would make a lot of sense. I think straight up, the Nuggets would rather Paquet because he's younger and has more upside, and the Rockets would rather Mitchell because he's a lot better for what they need right now. The Nuggets are going to make another very similar trade to that, sending away Deron Holmes, who's on an expiring contract, to the Pistons for Mustafas Imukik, who was also a first-rounder in last year's draft. The Pistons have a really good group of perimeter defenders with Asar Thompson and Ron Holland, but they need more rim protection, and that's what they'll be getting with Holmes. Devin Harper on the move to the number 1 seed Brooklyn Nets. Harper's having a great year in Utah. He's shooting the ball lights out, but the Jazz have a logjam at guard. He's averaging 24, 7, and 7 per 36 minutes, but the Jazz just don't need him. The Nets, meanwhile, they need backcourt depth. That's the one area they struggle in, and they'll be sending Malik Carver to the Jazz. He'll be the long-term Aaron Gordon replacement, and the Jazz will also be getting 3 seconds. Mikal Bridges is on the move to Portland. The Blazers figure they still might as well try it with LaMelo Ball. They get more consistent play at the 2 with Bridges, and they'll be sending away Rafael Torres, former lottery pick who's played for a couple different teams now. The Knicks get younger. They also bring back former Knicks legend Obi Toppin. All right, let's get to the big stuff now. It's been a disappointing year in Philadelphia for Tyrese Maxey. They're going to trade him away to the Bulls, and they're still going to get a lot back for him, despite the fact that he's taken a step back in his play. The Bulls, who have played a little bit worse over the last month or so, they want to make a big splash. They want to contend in the Eastern Conference. They'll be trading away their recent lottery pick Cyrus Emdent, drafted 12th overall, averaging 10 and 6, granted on really bad efficiency. He's very raw, but the ceiling with him is super high, and I'm a little bit surprised the Bulls are willing to give him away. Along with 2 future first-rounders, there's a chance that Bucks pick in 2031 ends up being quite valuable, depending on how good Giannis is at that point in time. That'll be after his, I think, 18th season. So you never know. He might take a step down by then. A 3-teamer. Kyrie Irving is headed to the Heat. I felt like the Mavericks needed to do something. They've got to pick a direction. Irving is averaging the lowest points per game of his career, but he's still been pretty efficient. Even though he's regressing, he's far from bad. And the Heat, as I mentioned, they're looking to win. Now, they might have the worst defensive backcourt ever now with him and Tyler Hero, but it's going to be fun on offense. Jalen Suggs has been disappointing this year, so they're going to send him away to Memphis. He was part of the Jimmy Butler deal all the way back in Season 1. The Grizzlies decided they are going to hold on to Ja Morant. They want to build around him. The Mavericks for Kyrie will be adding Julius Randle, Clint Capella, and then the reason why they did that, a first-rounder from Memphis. another 3-teamer, but this one has no picks, which is kind of a rarity. So Anthony Davis is going to the Spurs, Devin Carter is going to the Lakers, and Stephon Castle is going to the Kings. Carter's having a great season. He's shooting the lights out, but the Kings don't really need him. Devin Vassell also headed to the Lakers here, so LA improves their roster. The Kings, meanwhile, are swapping Carter for Stephon Castle. Castle's been worse than Carter this year, but Sacramento's trying to build an identity. Look at the guards they have in the backcourt. A-plus perimeter defense for Nova Coulson, Dennis Gordon, and DeJounte Murray. They are building maybe the best defensive backcourt ever. Now, Carter is a good defender as well, but he's not on the level of Stephon Castle. The Spurs, meanwhile, are trading away a shot chucker in Castle, along with Devin Vassell, in order to get Anthony Davis, who adds to the defense in the front court with Victor Wembanyama. The Spurs are definitely losing some depth at guard, but they feel confident with some of the younger guys they've drafted. The one team you might question this for, though, is the Lakers. They're now going to have a logjam in the backcourt. Well, not for long. There's another part to this. So they're getting Zion Williamson from the Raptors for pennies on the dollar. Darius Garland, Dalton Knecht, and a first-rounder in 2032. So why are the Raptors doing this? They just got Zion Williamson in the offseason for a big package, from New Orleans. Well, Zion has been up and down this year, but it doesn't really seem like he wants to go back to Toronto. And the Raptors figure they're going to cut their losses now. They're going to move forward, and they're going to add some good pieces with Garland and Knecht, who fit their roster a lot better than Zion does. A starting 5 of Garland, Jalen Green, Baptiste Bisconde, or Dalton Knecht at the 3. With Scotty Barnes and Naz Reid, that's a good group. Not to mention they add an additional first-rounder. All 3 of those guys are expiring, which also kind of makes things interesting, and I'm curious to see if those teams are able to bring back those players. So a very action-packed trade deadline across the NBA. A lot of big names on the move. Obviously, we made some big trades, sending away some key players, including Brandon Ingram, Adem Bona, Zach Edey, and Sadiq Bey, acquiring Evan Mobley, Leonard Miller, Austin Reeves, and Dylan Brooks, along with an intriguing pick from the Lakers. We also have Kyrie Irving, Jalen Suggs, Tyrese Maxey, Anthony Davis, and so many more players on new teams. Many of the league's top contenders got better. The Rockets, Spurs, Warriors, Grizzlies, maybe Sacramento all improved in the West. And then out east, Brooklyn, Chicago, Detroit, Toronto, and I would probably venture out to say the Cavs all improved their rosters from where they were earlier. One of those teams who went out and made a big move is the San Antonio Spurs. And if there's anybody in the league who's going to be able to defend Victor Wembanyama, it is Evan Mobley. Probably the number one reason why he was a target of mine. We saw Wemby in the playoffs last year. If we continue to be good, we will continue to see him in the postseason. So we're going to have to know how to defend him. The Spurs obviously acquired Anthony Davis. That front court defense is going to be filthy. As we get a last-second trade offer from the Huskies, that will be an easy no. And with that, the trade deadline is officially done. And we are now set for this matchup on the road against the 34-16 number 2 seed San Antonio Spurs. The first time we've played against the Spurs since our Western Conference Game 7 collapse from last year, where we were up by, 15 points? With 5 minutes to go, I really don't want to talk about it again because that gives me horrible flashbacks. Should be a fun one here with the debut of Evan Mobley. It'll be an intriguing one given that he's really plateaued his development over the last few years. Many people were expecting him to get better and better and better, maybe a 20-point-per-game scorer, but it hasn't been the case, and he hasn't evolved since his rookie contract, and we're taking a shot on him, buying low for a guy who I feel like is unbelievably talented. Doncic with the fake inside for Davis, who splits the defense. And on his first possession as a San Antonio Spur, Anthony Davis is in for the 2. Kuminga drives right and throws it down with the left. Powerful slam for Kuminga, who's going to have more responsibility as an initiator offensively, whether that's on the ball or off the ball. We're going to put a little more on his plate with Brandon Ingram gone as Luka is in for the layup. That'll make it 4-2. Mobley's pass is intercepted by Luka Doncic. On the other end, step back over Springer, and that one is no good. The Spurs unable to take advantage of their turnover, and here comes Golden State. Kuminga pulls from 30, and it's good! Jonathan Kuminga letting it fly from beyond the arc as it's now 8-6. Here is Andrew Nembhard with it. with the drive. He's trapped. Swings it out to Chance Palermo for three. Both of those guys are going to have much bigger roles for this Spurs team with Stephon Castle and Devin Vassell gone. And I think one of the biggest reasons why they made that trade is because they're very confident in those two guys. As Nembhard is blocked. We added Evan Mobley to be our rim protector, but apparently we already have a really good one in D'Angelo Russell. Who would have thought? Well, at the following inbound, Luka Doncic posts up on D'Lo. Doncic with 5 on the shot clock is very patient, drives inside, throws it up, and it rolls in. A nice play there by Luka, as it's now 11-10. Pretty balanced start, neither team really able to build out much of a lead. Luka inside, that one is good, despite solid defense by Kuminga and friends. As the lead is up to 3, Russell gets it over to the big fella, Evan Mobley on the drive with the slam! Obviously, Mobley's a terrific defensive player. The big question is, what value will he provide for us offensively? And if he can be a plus offensive player, that would be a big deal. As Springer hauls in the rebound, Kuminga out to Salis with the release as he misses it. I guess so much for hyping him up there. On the other end, Wembanyama bounces it over to Luka Doncic inside for Palermo. The exciting Whites add to the lead for the Spurs as they're up 15-12. Mobley brings it up. It's stripped away and stolen. His third turnover within 5 minutes. Doncic on the other end banks it off the backboard and in. Evan Mobley has not missed a shot yet, but he's turned the ball over 3 times. We're going to take him out of the game. He is struggling on offense right now as Palermo hits the wide open 3. Spurs up by 8. Replacing Mobley for Golden State is another new addition. Number 2, Leonard Miller into the game as Salis. It's the pull-up jumper, his first made shot of the game. That'll make it 20-14. Wembanyama drives left. It's stripped by Kuminga, picked up by Palermo, and the Spurs keep the ball. Davis over to Andrew Nembhard, looking to get around the screen. Nemby with the screen from Wemby. As Andrew Nembhard ups the lead to 9 for the Spurs, who are firing it from deep. Nice pass, nice finish for Kuminga. He's got 10 on perfect 4 of 4 shooting from the field. The rest of the offense, though, has been quite poor, only 6 points between the rest of the team. Palermo trapped in the corner. He sends it over to Anthony Davis. Out to Nembhard again. And another 3 will fall for Nembhard. One of the more underrated two-way guards in the game. Can really shoot it, and he can really guard on the perimeter. As Salis swings it for Kuminga. Acrobatic layup is good. When in doubt, just give it to Jonathan Kuminga. Right now, he is clearly the guy who's got the hot hand, now with 12 points on 5 of 5 shooting. Springer's doubled. D'Lo's 3 is good. Nice to get some of the other guys involved. D'Angelo Russell on the board with a 3. Wemby looks to get by Springer. Pull-up jumper is good. Springer's got to be faster than that. If you're not faster than Wemby, you're not going to be able to guard him because, I mean, he can always shoot it over you. Here's a screen for Kajai Stokes. Pulls a long 3, and it's good. We certainly need him to shoot the ball better. It has been an issue over the last month or so, and that was not an easy shot. Good to see it fall, though. As Dante Vittori is blocked. The Italian stallion denied by the Frenchman Salis. Stokes out to Springer for 3, and it's no good. That would have been a huge play for Golden State. Would have brought the lead within 1. On the other end, Wembanyama with it with a minute and a half. Matched up with Springer out to Vittori. Jumper is good. A nice recovery for Dante Vittori. As it is a 6-point Spurs lead with under a minute in the quarter. Around the screen, Tyus Jones for the big fella. Victor Wembanyama, who slams it home, 32-24. Springer with the cross, the sauce, the dish, and the assist. As Kajai Stokes buries the 3. It looks like he's in pain, though, after the make. Grabbing at, unsurprisingly, his hip. He landed awkwardly on Tyus Jones's leg. Is that not a foul? He didn't give him space to land. That should have been a 4-point play. Impressive that he ended up making the shot, but we're going to have to take him out of the game. Salis is the only player on the floor who was on our team 10 minutes ago as he swings it out to Jacoby Walter, who misses the 3. Walter, Miller, Mobley, and Austin Reeves all in the game there as that wraps up the first quarter. 33-27 Spurs lead. And a lot of the newbies in here for Golden State trying to figure out how to play with each other, gain some chemistry as Luka misses the triple. Here is Jonathan Kuminga. Crossover inside. Layup is good. He now has 14 points. He has been excellent so far. Did not miss in the first quarter, going 5 of 5. The rest of the team, though, only went 4 for 13 as the layup is good for Olivier Maxence Prosper. A lot of Canadians in this game. Omax, Nemhard, Leonard Miller is a native of Canada as Mobley posts up on Robert Williams. Mobley swings it in the corner for Jacoby Walter. Around the screen, open three is off the mark. Mobley the board and the putback. Evan Mobley with the slam. Averages nearly 10 rebounds per game this year. I felt like our team could use some more glass cleaners, and he can certainly provide that. Jalen Wilson on the drive. Jumper will rattle in. A shooter's touch for Jay Will, and the lead is up to 8 for the Spurs. Here is Williams to inbound it. He sends it over to Andrew Nemhard. Nemhard, pull-up jumper is good. It was heavily contested by Russell, but it doesn't matter. It's a 10-point lead now in favor of San Antonio. Mobley the inbound pass. Kuminga for three, and that one bounces in. Ball don't lie. He still will not miss. 6 of 6 is Jonathan Kuminga. Here is Doncic matched up with Walter. Step back three. That one is off the mark. I think Walter is going to be one of our best perimeter defenders going forward. He can match up with Luka, and he can really shoot it. Connects on the three on the other end. Only shooting 36% from deep this year, a career low. 39% through 3.5 seasons with the Raptors as Mobley misses the triple. We need Evan Mobley to shoot the three ball better than he did in Cleveland. It became a real weak spot for him as Wemby hits that one over his fellow Frenchman Antoine Salis. And it's a 9-point game. Salis on the drive, trapped inside, tipped for Springer, and it's intercepted by Doncic on the other end. Luka, magic! He's in for the slam, and the Spurs are building a nice lead. They're now up by 11. Here is Leonard Miller looking for the screen. Miller, pump fake. Nice feed for Jabari Springer. I think Leonard Miller, since his career started, his court vision as a passer has really improved, and we saw it on full display there. Davis, fadeaway, no good. I don't know why Salis is guarding these guys in the post, but here comes Golden State. Mobley's had a lot of responsibilities as a ball handler so far, as he gets that one over Andrew Nemhard, taking advantage of the size mismatch. It's interesting, though, that Mobley's brought up the ball so often. The Warriors clearly like what he can provide as a playmaker offensively, as he allows the dunk to Wembanyama. Salis, roundabout three, will not go. Wembanyama with the offensive rebound, and here comes the Spurs. Doncic with it, swings it for Nemhard in the corner, and that three rattles in. These rims for both teams have been awfully generous, it feels like, in this game. Are there magnets on these rims or something? Salis tries to get the pick and roll for Springer. Warriors keep it, though, with 12 on the clock. Jacoby Walter gets the screen. Walter, pick and pop. Springer drills the triple. 7, 5, and 3 for Jabari, doing a little bit of everything as the lead is down to 9. Inside for Anthony Davis with under 3 in the quarter. Davis to Wembanyama. Wemby looks to get by Mobley. His shot is good. Evan Mobley has been okay so far defensively. He hasn't been bad. An upgrade to what we had, but he hasn't looked like a defensive player of the year either. Off the miss, Springer looks to take it himself in the corner for Salis, still with only 2 points. Salis thinks about the three, won't take it. Kuminga back to Salis, up top for Springer. He's got the mismatch, but he just leaves Nemhard in the dust. I would have expected him to post up, but instead he drives right by for the slam. The Warriors trying to get the pick and roll and cannot. Kuminga gets it back, though. Reeves over to Springer. Drives right. Layup is no good. Gets his own miss. Over to Mobley. What a pass! And Mobley misses it! That was an absolute dime by Jabari Springer. But Evan Mobley cannot connect on the layup in what continues to be an underwhelming offensive first half for Mobley, as Wembanyama hits the short shot inside. Just 6 points thus far for Mobley. He's been outdueled by the big fella, Victor Wembanyama, who's got a dozen. Game and shot clock separated by 3 seconds. Salis with the screen hits the three. Antoine Salis needed to hit that shot. He was 1 for 5 on the night before getting that one to go in. Final chance for the Spurs. Vittori is blocked at the rim. Salis pokes it out. Salis was there with the block as well, his second of the game. What's gotten into this backcourt? The two of them have 3 blocks in the first half. I thought Evan Mobley was going to be our rim protector, not the guards. Wemby's three is no good. Tipped over to D'Lo. Full court heave. Impressively goes off the rim, but it is no good. That'll wrap up the first half. The Warriors down by 10. 61-51. Jonathan Kuminga leads the way. He has been terrific. 17 points, 6 of 6 from the field, 9, 7, and 3 for Springer, filling up the stat sheet. While for the Spurs, Luka with 14, Wemby with 12, Nembhard with 13. They lead the way for San Antonio. Definitely looking for more consistency, though, offensively. We haven't been bad, but we haven't done enough. And the turnovers have been sloppy. 8 turnovers compared to just 1 for the Spurs. And there's a good start. An acrobatic layup by Antoine Salis, opening the scoring here in the third. Luka Doncic with it, matched up with D'Angelo Russell. Out to Nembhard for 3. That one is good. Nembhard now with 16 points. He has been excellent so far for the Spurs. Looking for the screen from Mobley. Salis with the release, and this time it does fall. Antoine has scored the last 8 points for the Warriors. He had 5 in the first half, already has 5 in the second half. Went 1 for 5 to start, but has made his last 3. Mobley, no good! Posting up on the smaller Doncic, but Luka's able to get the contest. Wemby wide open on the other end, as Mobley and friends cannot get back there quick enough. Evan Mobley's underwhelming debut continues. Here is Salis, going to have to throw it up at the end of the shot clock. It is no good. An impressive defensive possession by the Spurs, defending well for all 24 seconds. Luka, pull-up 3 is good. And the Warriors are going to have to call a timeout as the Spurs are now up by 13. Here comes Golden State. Salis on the left wing gets the screen from Miller. Salis, open look, buries the hatchet. Antoine Salis has been impressive here in this third quarter after a slow start. Luka lobs it up for the big man Anthony Davis. I think this is going to be a fun big 3. AD's not the scorer he once was, but he fits well with Luka and, of course, Wembanyama. Here is Jonathan Kuminga. Has not missed yet today. Swings it out. Russell for 3. That one is good. Nice find by Kuminga as he connects with D'Angelo Russell, who hits the triple. Russell, another one. Back-to-back. D'Lo hits the open corner 3 off the inbound, and the Warriors quickly cut the lead in half from 12 to 6. Here is AD. Hands it off for Luka. And the dribble drive leads to a pull-up jumper for Luka Doncic, despite a quick closeout by Leonard Miller. Here is Russell inside for Evan Mobley. He's trapped. D'Lo, Salis back to Mobley, and he misses. He was posting up on Nembhard that time. How is he not making these easy shots over guards? Luka on the other end. No good over the extended arm of Evan Mobley. And here comes Golden State. Kuminga takes it all the way with a little rack attack. Jonathan Kuminga with the slam, and we are back within 6. Luka swings it for Nembhard, trying to get Reeves around the screen. Reeves stays with him. Nembhard beats the shot clock. The Spurs are hanging on to this lead. I think we've played pretty well in the third quarter, but San Antonio has consistently held roughly a 6 to 10 point lead. Here is Kuminga looking to get by Davis. Kuminga inside. Russell, Reeves, Miller. They've got to get a shot off. Leonard Miller inside makes the layup. His first points as a Warrior. Miller's ability to put the ball on the floor has gotten so much better from his time in the G League and even with Minnesota to now here with the Warriors. Kuminga on the drive. He's now got 21 points. Still has not missed. He's now 8 of 8 from the field. Unguardable, as that one is no good. We're only down by 2. We can tie or take the lead here. Springer, pull-up 3, no good. And Reeves is unable to get the rebound. Man, the roof of this place would have exploded in agony. The Warriors are on a run, and the Spurs are lucky we didn't make the heat check shot. San Antonio looking to make it a 2-score game. Here is Doncic. Posts up on Austin Reeves. That one is good. A nice play from Luka. As it's now 77-73. Here's an open triple on the way. Jacoby Walter is no good. Has not been a great shooting night so far for Walter, as he is 1 for 5 from deep. That one no good for the Spurs, and here comes Golden State. It's Leonard Miller with it. Miller on the drive. Takes it all the way with the flush. Leonard Miller with the slam, and we are back within 2. 77-75. Nembhard matched up with Reeves. Out to Wembanyama. Beats the shot clock, and it's good from deep. The Spurs needed a big shot to give them some momentum back, and I think that right there was the bucket that they've been needing for a few minutes. Salis, pick and roll! Leonard Miller on the alley-oop. Miller was quiet early, but he has awoken here in the third. 80-77. Nembhard up and in, no good. Wemby, offensive rebound, too easy for the big fella. Wemby started slow, but has been impressive down the stretch here in the third. 82-77. Springer as it poked out. Gets it back over to Leonard Miller in the corner. Salis for three. 11 in the third for Antoine Salis, as it's 84-80. Under 30 seconds to go. Leonard Miller on the drive. That one bounces up into the air off the tip. And there will be a foul on Luka. That is his fourth. So that'll be something to monitor in the fourth quarter. Luka in foul trouble. Shot clock now unplugged. Reeves gets it to Mobley. He goes for the early jumper, and that one rattles in. Evan Mobley's first points of the third. He's now got 8. 1 for 3 in this quarter. 4 for 8 overall. Triple on the way. No good for Wembanyama. Reeves gets it out to Mobley. Half-court heave. Did not get it off in time. Does not go in anyway. Really impressive third quarter. I feel like on both ends of the floor for Golden State, we were down by 10 going into the third, and now we're only down by 2. Outscoring them 31-21. Luka, 3 to start the fourth. He had Jacoby Walter on an island in isolation. And Luka does what he does best. Mobley inside, no good. Gets his own miss, and he is blocked! The Time Lord Robert Williams! Mobley with 2 more misses inside. Doncic on the other end. Jumper is good. 28 points now for Luka. And it's a 7-point lead for San Antonio. Mobley open jumper is good. Nice to see him keeping a short mind after a bad, or really pivotal offensive possession earlier. Vittori blocked inside. Evan Mobley is waking up. That last possession where he had 2 misses, it seems like that was the wake-up call. Posting up on a smaller guard and getting blocked from behind is a pretty bad look. I would hope it wakes you up. Here's Kuminga with it in the corner. Walter, pump fake, around the screen. Walter around the horn. Drills the 3. Big make from Jacoby Walter. And the lead is within 2. 89-87 with under 8 to go. Here's Dante Vittori on the drive. Layup is good. A quick response for the Spurs as they're back up by 4. Reeves around the screen. Has Kuminga. Open corner 3. Will rattle in. 9 of 9 for Jonathan Kuminga. The lead is within 1. Luka blocked inside. Kuminga. He's unstoppable. On the other end to Walter for the lead. Jacoby Walter takes it all the way, and the Warriors are on top for the first time in the second half. The lead would not last long. The very next possession, Omax Prosper drills the 3 for the Spurs. 94-92. Kuminga inside, no good. His first miss of the night. Spurs attempting to add to the lead. Luka on the drive, swings it out. Nembhard, 3 is no good. Mobley tips it up into the hands of Doncic. Nembhard again misses once more. Andrew Nembhard got 2 phenomenal looks. He's going to be wanting those back. Mobley off the rebound, brought it up himself. Now it's Russell over to Reeves in the corner. Evan Mobley posts up on Luka. He's had 3 misses posting up on guards. He can't do it again, right? Are you kidding me? But he grabs the miss and throws it down over Doncic for the and one, who's throwing a hissy fit. What a play by Mobley. Granted, it's off a miss against a smaller defender, which has been his issue all night. But a great response by Mobley, who would give Golden State the lead with the 3 throw. Nice defense by Walter off the miss by Vittori. Here is Mobley with it. Gets it back to Walter on the drive. Jacoby Walter throws it down. He's giving the Warriors some great minutes here in this fourth quarter. The 4th-year pro out of Baylor. Jones heaves up a 3 for the tie. It's no good. Walter with the rebound. We have 3 new players on the floor with him, Miller, and Mobley. Miller drives right, open lane, slams it home. Leonard Miller has also been really productive in the second half. He's got 8, 3, and 3. 5-point lead, screen from Mobley. Salis, step back jumper is no good. Wemby with the rebound. It's a 5-on-4. Salis is in pain. Here is Tyus Jones out to Wemby. Fancy layup is good, and the lead is within 3 as Golden State's going to have to call a timeout. On the jump shot, as you'll see here, Antoine Salis lands awkwardly on Tyus Jones' leg, and it's being diagnosed as, you guessed it, a hip injury. So 2 of our key guards, Kajai Stokes and Antoine Salis, with separate hip injuries in this game as Davis brings it within 1. Our depth is really being tested, and a guy like Jacoby Walter now is going to have to play some closing minutes as he's in for the slam to put the Warriors back ahead. We're really throwing him into the deep end here in his first game as a Warrior. 2.5 to go, up by 1. Wemby for the lead. It bounces out. Evan Mobley with the rebound. He's got Walter. Jacoby Walter thought about the shot. Passes out of it to Jabari Springer on the drive. Layup is good. Nice play there by Jabari Springer. 13, 10, and 3. Nemby wide open. That one is no good for the tie. Another open miss by Andrew Nembhard. Here's Walter out to Springer. Pull up. Mitty is good. Nice shot by Springer. Nice feed by Walter, who's been maybe the best player on the floor in this fourth quarter. Wemby on Mobley. Iron sharpens iron, and Wembanyama wins the battle. 3-point game. Wemby for the tie. No good. Mobley swoops in for the rebound. He brings it up for the Warriors. Mobley looks to take it himself. He is fouled at the rim by Doncic. That is his 6th. And he is out of the game. A huge loss for San Antonio as Mobley sinks the first. 14, 9, and 2 currently for Mobley, very in line with his season averages. He averages around 12 a game, so a little bit higher as he misses the second. 4-point lead under a minute to go. Nembhard in the corner matched up with Jacoby Walter. Palermo for 3. It's good! And the Spurs bring you within 1. What a shot for Chance Palermo as D'Angelo Russell brings it up for Golden State. The Spurs had the big comeback in Game 7 last year. We're having the big comeback here, but we've got to hold on. We're going to get guys open off the ball. What a pass! What a finish! D'Angelo Russell with a risky pass, playing in traffic. Sometimes you'll get run over, and sometimes it'll work out. Which I guess really wouldn't normally be the case if you're playing in traffic, but that time it does, as he finds Kuminga for the slam. We're going to bring in our defensive lineup, and that's going to include Dylan Brooks, his first minutes as a Golden State Warrior. I'd love to have a guy like Kajai Stokes out here, and I would want Salis in the game as a guy we could pass it to prior to the foul. But both of them are injured. I don't want to have them out there with those lingering hip injuries, so we're just going to play it through without them. 33 seconds to go. It's a 3-point game. Vittori matched up with Walter. Luka Doncic out of the game. Mobley plays for the ball, and Wemby connects on the shot. I don't know why Evan Mobley did that. He didn't need to go for the big play. Just stay on Wemby. That was all the game, by the way. That was not me. I know everyone thinks I'm a horrible defender. And you know what? Much of it is fair. But that was not on me. That was Evan Mobley being a complete idiot. He's had some bad defensive plays in this game, including that one. So we're going to get some of our free-throw shooters back out there. I think I want D'Angelo Russell taking these shots as he is fouled quickly by Dante Vittori. I would certainly prefer Antoine Salis in this spot. If we still had Brandon Ingram, maybe I'd look at him. But now D'Angelo Russell looks to be the closer as the first one bounces in. Second one for D'Lo. He's got 10, 5, and 3. Solid night in the office, but he misses it. The Spurs have a timeout, decide not to use it, down by 2. Shot and game clock pretty much even. This is deja vu from last year. They can go for Wemby for the tie. Fade away is no good. Bounces out, and Walter grabs the rebound and is fouled. Why did they go for the shot so early? I don't really get that. It was a good look for Wemby. He was open. Mobley did not get a great contest on it, but it feels like a wasted opportunity as Jacoby Walter hits the first one at the line. He now has 15, 6, and 4 as the second one is good. 16 for Walter, 11 in the second half, I think all of which have come in the fourth quarter. And the Spurs are going to use their last timeout. The Warriors up by 4 with 10.7 seconds left. We're going to bring our defensive lineup back into the game here. That includes D'Lo being out, even though we're out of timeout, so it's a little bit risky. But let's say they do make it and foul. I would trust a guy like Jacoby Walter at the line. I imagine they're going to look for Wemby, especially with Luka out of the game. I don't want him to get a good look inside. Force a jumper like the last possession. Even if it's open, if he takes a fadeaway, we'll take our chances with that. 10.7 to go. It's Anthony Davis. He gets it to Palermo for 3. That one is no good. Kuminga with the rebound. They're going to try to foul, but Kuminga sends it up for Walter! Showtime! Golden State will hang on to win it. What a second half for Jacoby Walter as the Warriors win it 113-117. 13, 5, and 3 in the fourth quarter for Jacoby Walter on perfect shooting. He played the entire fourth quarter with the injury early to Stokes and then late to Antoine Salis. What a debut. I know this was the Evan Mobley debut, but Jacoby Walter stole the show in this game for the Warriors. Although our best player throughout was Jonathan Kuminga. He only went 2 for 6 in the fourth, but was still very impressive overall. 26, 6, and 4, played really strong defense in my opinion, and was obviously our best offensive player. Walter in that fourth quarter was magnificent. He was the best player in the game for either side over those last 10 minutes. Got some big stops on defense, made all of his shots on offense, and of course, the clinching dunk to finish. Salis with 16 before the injury. Solid double-double for Springer. Mobley was up and down. I feel like this is very similar to the production he's given Cleveland this year. He was solid defensively. Wemby was inefficient, but Mobley also had some bad plays on that end of the floor, and he also had some bad offensive plays. Stokes as well getting injured, only 6 points in 3 minutes, give him credit. And then Austin Reeves in his debut laid up a few bricks, while Leonard Miller was quite solid for us. 28, 8, and 9 for Luka before being fouled out, only a true shooting percentage of 50, and Wemby's wasn't much higher. The two of them combined for 53, but they both had their fair share of misses. Wemby 1 of 7 from deep, Dante Vittori 2 for 9. A couple of those other shots go in, it could be a different result for the Spurs. It's not all sunshine and rainbows for us as we lose 2 of our key guards, and this is really going to test our backcourt depth. Both guys can play through it, but it's February. Why risk it? We were very healthy going into April last year, despite the fact that we did not have a single game in the regular season where everybody started and finished the game healthy. But we were healthy in the playoffs because we were smart in the regular season. There's no reason to risk it, and it's not worth even risking bringing back a guy like Loggins-Burrell early. So yes, we're going to be shorthanded. We're going to rely on guys like Reeves, Brooks, Outeridge, and Effett. Let's give Klay Thompson some minutes over these next few games. We've got the Lakers twice along with the Nets. Not going to be easy. Brooklyn's the number 1 seed, and the Lakers had a big trade deadline themselves, including adding some of our former guys with Edey and Sadiq Bey. So Roman Loggins-Burrell will be back after the break. That's huge. As we go 2-1, I'll gladly take that. Now, in this game against the Lakers, we were up 19 going into the fourth, and we won by 1. Not great. You know, if Sadiq Bey didn't shoot the ball horribly, the Lakers would have won it. If he went 1 for 7 from deep, they would have won. 31 for Kuminga, much of the same for Mobley. Not a great game from Leonard Miller. He had 4 steals, but also 4 turnovers. We beat the Nets despite another fourth quarter choke. Devin Booker was held in check. Jacoby Walter had him on clamps. 21 for Mobley, 21, 14, and 6 for Springer, a career high in rebounds, probably because he grabbed so many of his misses. He missed 14 shots in this game. Shout out Osborne Outeridge, who had a perfect 10 points. And then we lost the last game against the Lakers, despite 37 from Kuminga and 30 for Leonard Miller, 6 of 6 from deep. As good as the front court was, the back court was horrific. 3 for 13, 1 for 5 from D'Lo, 2 for 14, and 1 for 10 from Walter. Klay Thompson's been honestly pretty solid, though, 40% from deep in these 3 games. And then Austin Reeves was also a bricklayer. He has not shot the ball very well, with the exception of the win against the Nets, which I guess was kind of to be expected. I mean, we didn't get him for his efficiency, which has completely tanked over the last couple of years for him. That'll wrap up the episode, though. Next time around, we've got the All-Star break and then some really fun games in the second half of the year. I already know who I want to play. Cleveland, return for Evan Mobley. We get to see Brandon Ingram and Adem Bona. And then I think I want to see the Lakers as well. Take a look at Zach Edey and Sadiq Bey with their new team. That'll wrap up the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Let me know what you thought of our exciting trade deadline down below in the comments. Peace out.